Hey guys, so we got a special YouTube video for today. We're talking about the messianic prophecies in the Bible that Jesus is the Messiah. So, for those of you who don't know, there are a lot of prophecies. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to focus on two. One, that indicates that Jesus is God, and two, one that shows that he will suffer and die for our sins. That these are things that must be the case with the Messiah. So anyway, I'll just take a seat over here and I'll open up my Bible and show you where they are. Okay, so let's start with Isaiah 53. So any of you guys who don't know, Isaiah 53 is a major book of the Bible that if you're not familiar with it, you should be, because it has to do with a lot about the prophecies of the coming of Jesus Christ. So the verses we're looking at start right around here. Isaiah 53 verse 4. And by the way, I've looked up what the Rabbi Rashi said on the Chabad website. He interprets these verses as being messianic as well. Surely he hath borne our infirmities and carried our sorrows. So the Messiah suffers. And we have thought him as it were a leper, and as one struck by God and afflicted. So this is actually quite significant. So that particular line there, and we thought him as it were a leper, as one struck by God and afflicted. So do most of the Jewish people today recognize Jesus as the Messiah? No. So that indicates that we is referring to like much of the world, but especially the Jewish people who have not recognized him. The Messiah is to be rejected even by his own. Later in John's Gospel it says that his own received him not. But why was he afflicted? Why did this happen? But he was wounded for our iniquities, and he was bruised for our sins. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and by his bruises we are healed. And in Rashi's commentary, again, who is not even Christian, his interpretation of this is that the Messiah will suffer as punishment and be the atonement for the sins of the nations. So this is how Christians interpret this verse of Isaiah 53, but also the Rabbi Rashi. All we like sheep have gone astray. Every one hath turned aside to his own way. The Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. And he was offered. Now, so this talks about the Messiah being suffering for our sins, but in what way? But here's how it says how he suffered. He was offered because it was his own will. Jesus willed to die for us. He wasn't tricked. And he opened on his mouth. He should be led as a sheep to the slaughter. Rabbi Rashi's commentary says the Messiah will die. So if you are Muslim and watching this, and you believe that Jesus is the Messiah promised to the Jews, because Islam does teach that, if Jesus did not die, if he was not crucified as a sin for many, as Christianity claims, then Islam cannot be true. Yet Islam also claims that Jesus did not die, which they say that he appeared to die and ascended into heaven. He shall be led as a sheep to the slaughter, and shall be dumb as a lamb before his shearer. He shall not open his mouth. He was taken away from distresses and from judgments. Who shall declare his generation? Because he is cut off out of the land of the living, in case there's any ambiguity about if the Messiah is to die. For the wickedness of my people have I struck him. So he died as atonement for sin offering. So like I've heard apologetic sites on Jewish websites saying that Jesus can't be the Messiah, he can't be dying for sins because it's not a kosher sacrifice. In Christianity, we see the sacrifices of the Old Testament as being a prefigurement of this. They're supposed to teach a lesson. There's a deeper spiritual meaning behind them. It's not just that God likes a lamb barbecue. And he shall give the ungodly for his burial, and the rich for his death. Christ was buried in a rich man's tomb. Because he hath done no iniquity, neither was deceit in his mouth. The Lord is pleased to bruise him in his infirmity. He shall lay down his life for sin. He shall see a long-lived seed, and the will of the Lord shall be prosperous in his hand. So here's the thing, Isaiah 53:10. How is the Messiah supposed to? How are things supposed to be prosperous in his hand if he's already dead and in the ground? Resurrection, essentially, is how we would interpret that verse as Christians, especially Christians in general, but traditional Catholics especially. So Isaiah 53, read the verse over and over again. So if you're not Christian and wondering where this whole Jesus died for our sins came from, this is the verse. If you're Jewish or Muslim and unfamiliar with Christianity and want to know why we think Jesus died, start looking at this chapter of Isaiah. But that's not the only thing I want to show you today. So Psalm 23, this is a Douy Rhiems Bible, so most other Bibles it'll be Psalm 24. And these are the verses 7 through 10. Lift up your gates, O ye princes, and be ye lifted up, O eternal gates, and the King of glory shall enter in. Who is the King of glory? The Lord who is strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your gates, O ye princes, and be ye lifted up, O eternal gates, and the King of glory shall enter in. Who is the King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. So this sounds like a very poetic thing, and Jewish oral tradition says that it was basically about the Ark of the Covenant being brought to Solomon's temple. So I'm sure it was, wouldn't surprise me, I'm sure it was composed for that reason. That being said, it is prophetic, and I'll say that for a number of reasons. Lift up your gates, O ye princes, and be lifted up eternal gates. So the gates of Solomon's temple are not eternal. They adjusted me. They're not the eternal gates. That was referring to the gates of heaven. But the next line is, in it's the Ark of the Covenant, and the Justin the Martyr, early church father, comments on this. It says, who is the king, this King of glory? The Lord who is strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. So why are the princes being told to lift up the gates to let the King of glory? And they ask, who is the king, this King of glory? How come the princes, the angels of heaven, do not recognize the God of Israel? How come they do not recognize Yahweh and tell who he is, who's coming? Or it's the Ark of the Covenant. You would recognize, I think both the average person would be able to tell the Ark of the Covenant if they saw it coming, and the angels would be able to recognize Yahweh. The Christian St. Justin Martyr's comments on this is that because he's changed. Remember where it says, we despised him not in Isaiah? God has become a man. That is how Christians interpret this verse. God is strong and mighty. The Lord strong and mighty. That's why the angels have to be told this is the King of glory. Because when God has become man, we don't recognize him as such. So that is like a very basic verse from the Psalm 24, again 23 a Douy Rhiems Bible, but 24 in other Bibles. Yeah, so that is a bit about Messianic prophecy in the Old Testament. Now, there's a lot of other verses that Christians understand as being Messianic. Some of them are disputed with the Jews as to whether or not they are Messianic. And there's a whole whack of them. Like, I could probably do like a 3-4 hour video on the whole topic, delving into each verse, each chapter, and parallel how they are fulfilled in Christianity. But sorry there, guys. Just had to switch my backpack, carrying a bunch of stuff. It's kind of cold out. But yeah, basically, this is some basic biblical prophecies. If you're unfamiliar completely with Christianity at all, especially traditional Catholicism, this is how we would understand these prophecies. And they were fulfilled in the person of Jesus Christ, who became man, according to John's Gospel, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and he is the Messiah and fulfilled that prophecy because he did suffer and die, fulfillment of the nation. Now, how do we know that is not referring to someone else who's going to suffer and die and rise again? That'll be a video for another day. Anyway, have a nice day. Hope you enjoy this Bible study and this walk with me, and God bless.